Hello and welcome, my friends, to another week of Heartstorm calls. This is a space for us to dive into it, really share some win challenges and wisdom, and just have a safe space for us to just be kings. So welcome. Let's make this happen. Um, I'm blessed to be joined today by my brother Sean and Alex, who are also on this call, and we're going to be diving into emotions and how young kings can actually navigate emotions in today's world. And yeah, it should be a fun conversation. So make sure you stay all the way through and take notes because this shit's about to be fire, fire.
Yeah, thanks, Carlos. As always, it's great to see you on Monday. And I've noticed a really nice shift since we've moved the Heartstorms to Monday. It's really motivated me to just have the best week. And even though, as you guys say, my old ass, you guys keep me up until 9, and it's really impressive. So you know that we're doing something right here.
For sure, for sure, for sure. That's 100% a fact. That's 100% a fact.
I like the fact that we're talking about the emotions and what shows up for me. Just to kind of dive right in. I was I was working with a student this rising, and he happens to be one of my oldest friends, like oldest friends, like maybe for like since like literally we're like a month old. And I realized today we talked about some very heavy stuff for him, but he was so focused on the facts, and he acknowledged how he was feeling, like, and he was feeling a little intense, but he was focusing on it to start this new routine that I provided for him. And so I'll throw out to you, Kings, the idea of feelings and facts. Feelings and facts, and how to kind of distinguish the two, and how to use our emotions to navigate facts, but also acknowledge our feelings. So I'm gonna dump that into your guys' space for the
I
first.
love it, bro. Thank you for saying that. I want to get spicy here real quick because I see it all the time. And it's pretty concerning. But I see like on social media all the time people say like "fuck your feelings," and in person too. And there's just a time for that. Like there's definitely a place and time where fuck your feelings. It's just they're not helpful. They're not even relevant to the situation you're in. But I want to make sure that I touch on this because that could also be incredibly destructive. If all you're doing is fuck your feelings and then also not taking the time to sit with them and familiarize yourself with them. And I think that I see a lot of men who are just like, nah, fuck, I just don't have to, I know I'm just getting my feelings fuck. I don't have to think about it at all. And for the moment you can do it, but there's only a certain amount of time that you can actually do this till it becomes until it's not sustainable anymore. You can get through it for a little bit, but then eventually the more that you do it, it's going to catch up to you. That's what I've learned. And I see it pretty often. I was like, oh, fuck my feelings. Like, especially when I talk to men, and I'm sharing, and they start talking about their journey, and they're talking about some of the challenges that they're having, and emotions come up, and they're like, oh no, yeah, no, fuck my feelings. I don't even want to. And that could be so destructive because those feelings typically bottle up and become something bigger, and they come out always at the wrong time. Always at the wrong time.
Every
Um,
time.
so I want to ask you guys because I'm very practical here. So like I want to ask you guys about expressing the feelings because I think that's the whole thing. Like that's why I personally I think that's where a lot of men are struggling. Men are getting a little bit better at labeling or not noticing their feelings, and that's good. But a lot of the time they kind of just stay right there. They're like, "Oh, I'm angry," and then that's it, and they just sit with it, and that's their new identity. I'm an angry person. That's who I am. And I definitely found that by me expressing these feelings, negative or positive or whatever, it allows me to be more in control of my own behavior. So I'm curious to hear from you, Kings. Like, how do you guys go about expressing those feelings? Like, what's your go to?
I Oh, Sean, go ahead. I'll go after you.
It's really important to find people that you love and trust that you can talk to, because I feel like a lot of the times we live in a world where, like we talk about a lot, we don't really acknowledge things and we don't talk about things. And one of the main dynamics of this reality is sound waves. And so when we're speaking, we're resonating our heart. There is no throat chakra, by the way, guys. It's the heart chakra. The throat is a resonator because our tongue is actually directly connected to our heart. So, our throat chakra really is our heart chakra. And so we're not really taught the skills per se in the modern education to speak things through as much as we need to. So I feel like a lot of the times when people, men and women for that matter, when they blow up about things, it could be in part something that they've been trying to talk about for years, if not decades, and nobody hears them. And they get very frenetic and frantic because things do need to be said. And the lack of acknowledgement, I think, in part leads to a lot of these blowups that men and women have at times, not being heard, not being listened to. And granted, sometimes it's hard to listen to people because they're like very charged. But I think that in those moments, it's actually more important than ever to listen to people, because you could be going up against a story or something that they've needed to say for a long time, maybe for decades, and it's gone to deaf ears. And a lot of the times it's really simple and important things. So something that I like to do is to find people that I really love and trust that I can talk to. And it's not just talking to ourselves, that's part of it, but at a certain point we do need to engage with other people and use that as a reflection, and get that on a certain level acknowledgement, not just to be acknowledged and heard, but a lot of the times these are really deep issues that need to be talked about. There's things that human beings need to talk about if we want to push the bar forward and push the ball forward. Or else people are unacknowledged and it just weighs on them. So yeah, really confiding in people that you really love and trust. Maybe it's one man, one woman, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your girlfriend, maybe it's a lifelong friend, maybe it's your dog, maybe it's your cat or your parrot. Um, so that's something that I like to do, just really confiding in people that I know, love, and trust me. And even if I'm not saying it the best way and I'm really charged up, they don't try and take it on personally, because sometimes there's a lot of energy around what they're saying. And I think one of the main mistakes people make, I mean, there's one thing if someone's just attacking someone, but there's another thing when people are just speaking in a very heated and energetic way. The big mistake that listeners make is they try and take it on and agree and disagree with them. That is not the time to agree and disagree with people at all. It's the time to listen and shut your mouth and hear what they have to say so that they can be acknowledged. And a lot of the time, that diffuses a lot of the intense energy around the blow up, so to speak.
Dude, first of all, you're gonna have to throw in the parrot in there. Like, why is the parrot included into this? Like,
Well, they can talk back, right?
that's true. Who the fuck has a parrot? No, but I love what you say, and that's one of my favorite ways to express my emotions, and I think that's yeah. Now we got a new little emoji going. Uh, one of my favorite things ways to express my emotions is through speaking it out with someone that I trust. And I think every word that you said is very intentional, and very powerful. And I want everyone that's listening to pay attention, because it's not just speaking it out and like getting it out of you, because you can have friends who just kind of let you freaking mentally masturbate and freaking just ruminate and just sit in this shit for a long time. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about someone who can actually create a safe space and they're still objective with you, and you can still be yourself. And like, that when we have that, then like you said, Sean, it allows us to reflect on what we're saying, instead of just having another yes man who's like, oh yeah, you're right, fuck that bitch. Hey, but yeah, I was in the wrong. Like I'm the one that did the thing. Like, but a lot of the time I see, I got my friends and I'm speaking. But when you really dive deep into it, a lot of men don't actually take that time to reflect, to express how they're feeling with someone that they trust, and then from that reflect what's actually coming out, without getting too emotional, heated, or angry, or slapping a bitch. Like it's difficult. It really is. I want to acknowledge whoever was watching this. Like, it is difficult. It is challenging. It's supposed to be, but that's where the transformation happens. That's where we can really let go of all the shit that we're holding on to that might just be weighing us down and slowing us down when it comes to getting closer to our ultimate goals.
Mm. I appreciate what you guys are saying, and what's really showing up for me is it's kind of like a mix of what both of you are saying. Um, First and foremost, I want to be honest with myself. And like when I am feeling really intense emotions, I like to ask, I'm like honest with myself and I give myself some space, whether it's just even internally, like I can't do it externally. And I usually ask myself, it's like, okay, this feeling's coming on. Did I bring this on? Is someone bringing this to me? Or is it a mixture? And when I start to, if it's really about me, then I'm like, I take it very personal and I make it very specific. And I'd be like, okay, this is me right now, and I'm experiencing this emotion. I am not this emotion, and I'm experiencing blank emotion. Okay. And that's usually my first step. And when I start to do that, I notice that I don't embody and I don't feel like I get possessed by that emotion. Rather, it's like I kind of can step back and experience it like a movie, where I'm feeling it, but it doesn't get trapped in my body, but it goes through my body. And then it's just like, oh, I am experiencing this. Um, like the other day, like my experiences, I was with a few people who I really cared about, and one person got really heated, and like it wasn't what they were saying, it was how they were saying it, and like the whole context and the whole environment of it. Like it just wasn't a good time. And it's just like, and then I got heated because it's like, yo, this is not the right time. And like how you're sharing these things is not landing. And like it's not about how I feel, but then I got really annoyed and I got heated and I started yelling a little bit. And it's just like, and it just could have been handled better. And like the whole thing was is like what this person was saying is like I totally acknowledge that and I hear that. And the people this person was talking to, it wasn't landing to them. And like it was very, I could see how these people who were being talked to, how it was like they felt like it was an attack based on the timing. And like that's what Sean was talking about. It's like when that stuff happens, like nobody listens because then we're not safe and we can't hear. So so if I'm honest with myself and the words that I use, like you were talking about, I notice that even when I'm feeling super intense emotions, what I can do is I can say, I'm experiencing this emotion. This is what's going on. This is the impact, and like opening it up the floor, so that we can kind of get above it. And as Sean was saying, I fucking love what he just said about like, not trying to justify or defend or make things right or wrong, but like, shit, this person's going through it. I'm going through it. And this is not a time to debate or anything. This is a time to just listen and acknowledge and be like, yo, thanks for sharing. Like, here you are. To kind of chill it out a little bit.
Bro, that's so beautifully said, and you meant you touched on something that's very important, and I know for a fact that a lot of people miss this. And in whatever area of life you are, you actually are right now. But something that stood out to me is how you described the process of diffusion. So, quick little if you go to relax and awake, I shared the there you go. Get on Amazon, stop playing yourself. In the mental health chapter, I talk about acceptance commitment therapy, and acceptance commitment therapy. One of the things that it's six things that make up acceptance commitment therapy, and the one of the things that Alex just described was diffusion. And diffusion means that you, a lot of the time, most of us are fuse our identity with our emotions, and then they become one. Like, for example, if you hear someone, I am angry, it's like they are the feeling of anger instead of and words are very important instead of saying like I'm feeling angry. And even when you say those two things, you feel the shift inside your body, but also there's a shift in the research that highlights that when you fuse your emotions with your identity, it fucking backfires every single time. So it's so important to make sure that we are observing our emotions objectively, like stepping out of our own body, getting out of our own emotions, and just looking at the situation from above, and then deciding, okay, is this something that's in alignment with my goals and values? If it is, okay, then I can fuse with this. That's fine. If it's not, then it's important for me to do this work to diffuse from this. And this diffusion work can be pretty challenging because if you've been conditioned for 30, 40 fucking years, like like it's going to be very challenging for you to be like, I'm not that, but that's what you've been saying you are for the last few decades. So I love what you said, Alex, because that's really powerful. And I see so many people struggling with that. They become their emotions. That's who they are. In almost every situation in their life, bro. It's crazy.
Well, and like to follow up with what you're saying, Sean, I want to get this in. It's a real quick point. This isn't to like deride people's emotions, because I've been in situations be like, well, you're not honoring my feelings. And it's just like, well, no, like, but your feelings are yours. So like, it's not that I'm dishonoring them. I'm just making a point that like, if you completely identify with those things and like, that's what you want to be, then it's just not going to go very far. And if that's what you want to do, like that's fine. But if we just identify and stay stuck in that and defend that perspective, like we're not going to get to a higher ground. And to turn it over to you, Sean, like the last thing I say, there are times where it's important to defend where we're at and what we're feeling and really honor it, especially if like it's something we normally don't do and it's really a deep guttural, like visceral thing. Like an example is like during COVID, not wearing a mask. Knowing the science was one thing, but like when people like, you wear a mask, like I had a deep guttural feelings, like I can't listen to this person and I do not consent. And that was like a total visceral reaction. And it's like, can't do it. Can't do it, not workable, not going to do it either. I don't want to be controlled by tyrants, because that's what happens with people and their emotions. It's like, it's all about my feelings and you're going to listen and this and that. It's like, you're being a tyrant, bro. That's what's happening here. You're being a tyrant and I've been there. Yeah.
So good. So good. You go ahead, Sean.
Well, I feel like complaining is a bridge, and there's different layers to it. It's like, are we complaining because I have to wait an extra 5 minutes in line, or am I complaining because because someone sees a deep-seated issue that needs a solution and nobody ever listens? So I feel like when people are complaining, they're actually, whether they know it or not, they're looking for an answer. So that's why it's important to, if people are complaining, really listening to what the complaint is. And if it's just some nonsense, obviously you do what you can with it, or you push it away, or you tell them, I'm not listening to this. But also, some complaints are worthy of listening to. And some complaints are really a bridge to a solution. Because naturally, sometimes we complain because we're trying to figure things out and we're really frustrated. And if we can really listen to those complaints in a good way and actually hear them underneath all the intense emotion, it's like, wait a minute, like they're actually complaining about something that really is affecting everything. And like, holy crap, like this is a big issue. Like, how can we start to pick away at this together and really come up with a solution? Because that's what I think, and I observed what complaining is. Even if it's something menial, like people are looking for a solution, and the fact that they are complaining, even though it might not be comfortable and they might not be saying it at the right time, like when the fuck is the right time, guys? Like we really have to also honor the fact that there isn't a perfect timing at times, and sometimes things just need to be addressed when they need to be addressed, which is right now. Because if it's not going to be addressed now, like when are we going to actually address any of this? So it's like really important to listen to people, who you like and trust when they are really complaining. It's like, well, what are we really complaining about here? Oh, okay, this is a really big issue. Of course it makes him upset, of course it frustrates him, of course all these things. Like, how can we create a conversation around this, get them out of the complaining energy, and really kind of take steps towards solving some of these issues? Because let's face it, guys, some things are definitely worth complaining about. When it comes to things like human trafficking and people starving and bombs being dropped on kids in different countries, that's worth complaining about. And complaining, I think, is a bridge to help us get to an actual solution. It's not necessarily the best thing in the world to complain, but I mean, like, look, sometimes we got to work with what we have. So it's really putting it in the right context and really listening to the actual complaint, because sometimes people don't want to speak up at all about anything. And that's another reason why people complain. Like, things need to be said, and there's a real lack of opening our voices at times to actually complain about the things that need to be complained about, so that we as people in a community can come to some sort of solution together.
You say something really good, and I want to touch on something that men are really horrible at. And we like to jump the gun. Women are awesome at this. So like, for example, if someone's sharing, like you said, someone's complaining or venting with you, women are really good at asking you, like, do you want advice or do you want to just be heard? Men don't know how to do the second part. Like, it's like, I'm giving you advice. Like, and personally, I'm man. Like, I'm a man myself. I definitely fall into that category. And, that's something that I learned, like, through being in a long-term relationship. I was like, fuck, like, women are really good at this. I suck at this. I just want to solve the problem. But there's also value in kind of creating space for that. And there's definitely places to kind of vent it out. Um, Personally, especially because I'm in mental health, I get a lot of people that come to me and they're used to seeing psychologists or mental health experts or professionals. They typically see them as like, okay, I can go and just vent on you and tell you all my stuff. That's not me, as you guys know. Like, that's just not how I roll, because it's not helpful for them. It's not helpful for me. So what I found is that people stop coming to me to complain because they know that at the end of the complaint, like, I'll let you complain. I'm a great listener. I'm gonna let you just say whatever you need to say, but then I'm gonna ask you, what are we gonna do about it? Or even better, like, what are you doing about it right now? Like, okay, you're complaining about like the sex trafficking things. The fuck are you doing about it? You're not up to Paul. So I don't want to hear it. Like, it's cool and all, but like, I just go freaking watch the news if I want to go hear this shit. Like, respectfully, but not really. And that's what I found. Because I think there definitely is. It's important for us to kind of vent it out and express those frustrations that we have. But a lot of the time, we can get just caught up in that. And all we're doing is just complaining. Oh my God, this problem here, and the world sucks here, and then and then we don't do anything, and that doesn't help us because now we feel now we lower our vibration, we feel shittier. So how is that helping anybody? Because then if I feel shitty, what am I gonna do? I'll make everybody else around me feel shitty too. That's typically my approach. Is how I like to view it. I think that there's definitely a space for venting, but there's also a limit. Like, once you've done enough venting, okay, like, that's it. Like, let's get to action now. We're not just gonna sit here and freaking ruminate and just freaking, oh my God, life sucks. Like, what the fuck? Like, who is that helping? Yeah. So that's what's coming up for me, and like, if you guys don't mind, like, I would love to share a gem that's been really helpful for me. And kind of going back a little bit to emotions and fusing with our emotions. Is that okay? Can I cook a little bit? Appreciate it. So I learned this from Tony Robbins, actually. Thank you. He's an absolute badass. And what Tony shared is, he basically asked you, okay, what does a depressed person look like? What does a happy person look like? And why the reason these questions are so important is because a lot of the time, especially men, they tend to, again, fuse with these emotions and these identities, and they're not understanding that we're choosing this. Like, when we're like, "Oh, I'm depressed," and I ask you, "How's a depressed person look like?" Hunched over, talking under her breath, kind of like, dude, how does a really joyful, happy person look like? Oh my God. So if we know what it looks like, then we can act accordingly, instead of just letting whatever it is that we're feeling inside dictate our outward behavior, because it doesn't have to. So that's honestly one of the best ways to reconfigure that idea that I'm depressed, when in reality you just fuse to an identity that doesn't serve you. And you don't have to do that. You can choose better. You can choose differently. Acknowledge where you are. Acknowledge that, hey, why am I depressed? Or like, well, how come I'm depressed? Or like, what brought me to this point? Because even asking why, it's a little bit vague because nobody can know for fucking sure what the fuck. Like, I'm gonna go off of mental health right now. There's in the mental health field, this thing where all the time they just, let's figure out, like, oh, you're having some attachment issues, it must be because your mom was angry at you, or whatever. How the fuck can we know for sure? And and people are walking around um saying that that's the thing, I have an attachment issue because my mom left me when I was 5. What if it was just a video you watched when you were 8? Like we can't know for sure. Like, it's not like every part of our life is recorded. So it's really difficult for us to make that assumption. And in mental health, a lot of the time, that gives people kind of a little bit of control of their life, because they're like, oh, this is what caused it. Now I understand. Now understanding that we can't know for sure. Like it's cool, to mentally masturbate once in a while and like dive into the why as to like why we do things or why we are the way we are. But it gets to a point where it just becomes unhelpful. Like it just gets to a point where you don't really know for sure, and no one knows for sure. There's no doctor that can tell you. There's no AI that can tell you this. So the fact that we're allowing these labels and that these doctors are giving us become our identity is the quickest way to play yourself, in my opinion. And I see it all the time, and it's incredibly frustrating, especially when I get clients that come to work with me, and they are already seeing a therapist. I'm like, what's going on here? And it's typically because the therapist is just letting them fucking mentally masturbate and try to figure out why I do this and why I do that when they can't fucking know. Nobody can. Nobody can. Only God, because God did. I'm cooking right now. Does that make sense, though?
Dude, yeah, yeah. And so like what shows up for me too, the first thing I want to touch on is the depression thing. And our boy Jordan Peterson said this. I love what he said. He's like, sometimes I'll see in my clinical practice, he's like, I'll see people and they'll say like, oh, I'm depressed, or someone's like diagnosed me as depressed. And he's like, and then I listen to their life and like their parents died in a car crash, their wife has cancer, their kid has like stage like 4 melanoma, and this guy like got in a car crash. Like, bro, you're not depressed. Your life fucking sucks right now. Like, there's a difference. Now, if your life is like put together, you have the wife and kids or whatever, like everything is in place and you're still not satisfied, then it's something to look at. And a lot of people, guys, they just, their life fucking sucks. Like, no offense, no disrespect. Like, so it's like, no shit, you're gonna feel these things, and no shit, you're gonna feel like depressed. And it's like, and what I've noticed, like in my field and working with people, it's like, okay, like you see that now, like, what are you going to do about it? And are you going to use this as a reason to be a victim and stay stuck and make this your story? Or are you going to use it as a reason to actually become the superhero in your life? And like, I see this time and time again. The villain and the hero are not very different. It's really the spirit in which they do things. That's what it comes down to. The hero says, the world played me and it fucked me up. And I'm going to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I'm going to give back good. And I'm going to share my story in a good way. The villain says, you did me wrong and I'm going to make you pay. It's literally that small of a distinction. And, which really brings me to, you know, with this mental masturbation, with all of this, in what spirit are we participating in these activities? What spirit? Am I bitching and complaining to get to a higher ground? Or am I bitching and complaining just to bitch and complain? And Carlos, I love that people who just want to complain don't come to you anymore. I got a personal story to share about this. I remember one time, I remember the one time this lady, and this was when I was working at Sean Sky Fitness, and she comes up to me and she's talking to me. And she thought I was Sean at first. I don't know I don't remember her name, Sean, so don't ask. And she's talking to me, and then like I'm like, oh, I'm Alex. Like, okay, and then she just starts just riffing and complaining and complaining. I'm like, oh, like thanks for sharing. Like what have you done about this? And like literally her head like blew the fuck up. She's like, no one's ever asked me that. And I'm just like, like, uh-huh. And then like she literally just walked away. She's like, I don't know how to handle this. I'm walking away.
was hoping you would just like back me on this and we can complain together. No, I don't got time for that. We're gonna absorb your energy. The fuck? We're not doing that. We're
No,
not doing
thank
that.
you. No,
No,
thank you.
right now.
God,
I love that you bring that up, dude. I love that you bring up the spirit and to make it even more objective, because I know we got some sciencey motherfuckers that are in YKU, clearly PhDs and everything. So let's get objective here, because when we're talking about spirit, what we're really talking about is attitude. Like, what attitude are you choosing? Because attitude is a choice. Like, you can go to Africa and see kids who like, have no food, no nothing, and they're still fucking happy because they choose that attitude. They choose to be grateful for what they have in front of them. And a lot of the time we get so caught up in, or even worse, like we give that power of choosing our attitude to someone else, or some sort of circumstance, something that happened in our life. And I hear it all the time. People are like, oh, I ask people like, what, why the long face? Why are you angry? Yo, fucking, like, my car got a flat tire. So what happened is, like, you're allowing this circumstance to dictate your attitude when you get to choose how you react or respond to the situation. And Bob Proctor is one of my favorite speakers of all time. And he talks about this deeply, deeply, deeply. And he asked this question: what does your attitude proclaim to the world about you today? What does your attitude proclaim to the world about you today? And he also shares, the greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes. The greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes. And a lot of people don't understand that. They don't, and there's a lot of things that we can't control. If you put in jail, you can control what you eat, like, but you can always control your attitude. And always, there's not a single situation in the world that you can come up with that you can't control your attitude. That's one of the only things that we actually can control. And it's, I know it's easy for us to just kind of put it onto someone else, or a circumstance, or a bringing, or some trauma, or some shit. But at the end of the day, how we show up in the world, it's up to us. And we decide, like, how we show up in every situation, regardless of what we think might be going on.
And to all you young kings that are going to tune in, controlling your situation doesn't look like burying it and pretending like it's not there, because we got to acknowledge those things and work with them and dance with them. And that's where some of those that's, I think, an important distinction, because sometimes we are upset, and even though we are in a bad situation, we can still see it through, and we can still be in a bad attitude, if you will. And like, we can still see through things, and we can experience those things. And that's where I think acknowledgement a lot of the time is really helpful. To Sean's point, it's like, yeah, I acknowledge that I'm experiencing a lot of intense anger and rage right now. And that's really happening. And my attitude about that is really what's going to help me ultimately get through it.
Well, something worth noting too is that obviously we want to have a good attitude about things. But also we got to remember that there's no such thing as a good attitude without the polarity of a bad attitude. So a bad attitude is only the opposite of a good attitude. So it's like we also live in a world where it's like everything we're saying to me is really valid. But also it's like having a bad attitude is valid too. I'm not saying that it works as well as a good attitude. And also it's like it's a fine line of gaslighting people, right? Because a lot of times it's like, oh, just like see it through and have a good attitude and just cheer up. And like sometimes like that's not what's called for. I'm not saying that it's functional as well as a good attitude, but also it's like there's a fine line of when we gaslight people to tell them like, hey, you just really need to work through this, and like you really need to do this, this, and this. And it's like maybe they don't. Like that's part of this world too. It's like people have a choice. And to me, as long as they're truly not hurting anyone, like I might not agree with that bad attitude, but it's also to me like in a certain light just as valid as a good attitude. Because quite frankly, guys, like if we didn't know what a bad attitude really looked like and the form and function of it, like there would be no reference point of what a good attitude is too. So it's like hindsight is always 2020. And when we do have those moments of being in a really bad attitude, knowing the context is important, but also it's like, guys, we don't know what good is without bad. So it's like understanding how to move through these things is really important. And some things, like when they come up, like they're going to incite a bad attitude. And I don't necessarily think, this is funny, it's like a double negative. I don't necessarily think that that's bad. You know, humans are in a very pivotal point in this story right now, and some of the things that humans are going to have to work through are very dark, they're very negative, and they're very dense. And like if we push them away too quickly, we may not get the message of what we really need in order to turn it over into something that's actually positive. So I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, be in a bad attitude all day, but we need that reflection point and we need that polarity to understand where the hell we're at. Because let's face it, guys, there's been a lot of things pushed under the rug in humanity. There really has been. And again, that's why there's a lot of these issues that to me are very simple to figure out if we actually can express them and work through them as a community. And it isn't going to be fun. It's going to be nasty. And unfortunately, that's just the way of the journey at times too. Now we don't want to be stuck there because it kills us really fast. But also if we know how to navigate it, I think that it can be ultimately a very positive thing. Like looking at the things that are awful and terrible in our own life and in our community, so that we can really bring forth a solution and a way to work through it as well too. So we can't just gaslight ourselves into being happy all the time, because that's not natural either. Like there's going to be times where we're upset. There's going to be times where we're like mad, and like to me, it's totally valid, right? And like we're talking about, being stuck there is like being in quicksand. So it's like it's a very fine dance and a very fine balance.
Bro, I love that you brought that up, and I'm glad that you're using the words bad and good attitude, because that fucks people up a lot. And the reason I say this is because it's incredibly subjective. What the fuck does that mean? Like, it's good or bad? Like, that's a judgment. Personally, and that's why you didn't hear me say good or bad. I just said attitude, because it's either, in my opinion, it's either destructive or constructive. So, like the attitude that you're having in the situation that's in front of you, is it actually moving you closer to your values, or is it moving you further away from your values? Because there's a lot of shit that's valid. That doesn't mean it's helpful.
Mm.
There's a lot of shit that's valid, but it does not mean it's helpful. Like most excuses people have are valid. Oh my God, you don't have you don't have an upbringing. Your family didn't guide you in this. That's valid. Doesn't mean it's helpful. Well, doesn't mean it's gonna get the shit done. So like I hear you 100%, and I definitely and I agree that trying to fake how you're feeling, because that's a different thing. Attitudes and emotions are different things, right? Attitude is our perspective on the situation in front of us, how we view the situation, how we relate to the universe. Do we live in a friendly or unfriendly universe? That's how I see attitude. Like, how do you feel like in that regard? And then when it comes to emotions, like yeah, like there's definitely a space for you to express those emotions, and when it's appropriate in a situation, especially if someone's getting you upset and stuff like that. Um, but that doesn't mean that it's helpful for you to just be like a dick to people, and just have this freaking dark cloud looming over you at all times. Because at the end of the day, you're choosing that. You have a little tie. You tied that little cloud, and you're bringing it with you. Every time you choose to have a destructive attitude, every time you choose to have a negative or dark attitude, that's actually not going to be productive, constructive, or creative. So I hear you on that, but I want to make sure that everyone listening can really get clear on that, because we could get lost on the good and bad, and then think that bad is like, oh, like I'm in a bad mood, and no. It's separate things, and it's important that we highlight that. What I'm saying, because a lot of people get that confused, and they think they have to go around. They hear like, oh, how about improve your attitude, or choose a better attitude, and they're going around fucking dying inside, and having and masking, like literally masking everything that's going inside, so that they can be socially accepted in society. And that's never fucking works. That never fucking works. That's why it's so important for you to express those emotions, so you don't have to mask. Like if I'm upset, you're gonna fucking be able to tell that I'm upset. I don't hide that shit, because it like I want to be myself at all times. But if I am upset, that means I do gotta do some work on myself, and I gotta go make sure I find a way to express it. And does that make sense though?
Yeah. Gang.
100%. Guys, I'm walking right now because the library is about to close, but I'm still here with you guys.
They're gonna kick you out.
That's the beauty of this work, guys. Anywhere, anytime. I love that you're embodying that. All right. I see how it is, guys. I see what you're cooking up today. I see it. And I have about like 5 things, like little key points I want to share with what you just said.
Give it to us, bro. Come on.
So first and foremost, Sean, that point that you're talking about, addressing those deep, dark, heavy things, the reason why humanity is in the mess that it's in some ways, is because people do not address those things. And I live by this saying, and I learned this in work, is we strengthen our weaknesses. Now, if we go back to exercise, if your knee's all fucked up and you're strengthening your arms, like, oh, I got the best arms in the world, I got the best arms in the world, but you don't fix your knee, at the end of the day, man, you got that leg that's not working. And like you got to fix that. Like you got to address that more importantly. So that's the first thing to all you young kings, and that's what the shadow work is all about in the blueprint. And our boy Jordan Peterson, I'll drop his name again. You want to go out and you want to put the world on notice, you better have your fucking room in order. I'm just gonna leave it right there with that one. Now, to Sean's point, so we talked about the demons, the inner demons. That's what's really gonna help humanity. And the people who talk about the government and all these things, there's a few bad people out there that we have nothing to do with. Not everything is a reflection of us. But those things will clear up when people actually start taking responsibility, because then the expression and the manifestation of that will be of a higher order. Now, the example I like to use why we need to address these things. I love this example, and I'll use it with my students who are going through something. You're in 5th grade. You guys it's near the end of the year, and it's field day, and y'all are going to go out to the forest preserve. And there's 50 kids, everyone's getting on the bus, and there's one kid off the bus making a fuss. And what is he making a fuss about? I don't fucking know. Something stupid. He's a 5th grader. And the bus can't leave until this boy gets on the bus. Now, this is the paradigm that I'll leave to you guys, or the soliloquy or parable. What do we do with that kid who will not get on the bus for whatever reason? Okay, I'm gonna drop that there. That's the example I like to think about. Now, what's really interesting, a personal example that's shown up, like Sean mentioned, is working through those heavy feelings is when I met my birth family. And I want to let everyone know who's listening in on this, and you guys, no part of that was fun. Not a single part of it. Not even a little part of it. I had to manage 7,000 different people's expectations, their emotions. I had to do it bit by bit. Not even a little bit of it was fun. Not any of it. It all fucking sucked. It sucked ass, like really bad ass. And what's interesting is that after I completed that work, there was this huge weight that was lifted off of my chest, and this unforeseen thing. And for those of you who are into health, before I met them, this was like during COVID, I had a rash that covered my body, like a lot of my body. And the minute I ameliorated that with my family, I'm not exaggerating, 95% of that rash literally went away in 2 hours, like all of it gone just from that. So that was really powerful. I think that we live in a time where men need to stand up and look at these heavy things for themselves. Because that's what the world's asking for. And I don't care who this offends, it's not going to be the women who do certain things. It's going to be the men. And we need to protect the women and the children. Not to say that women don't do hard work. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying stand up and be men and be warriors and do it with diplomacy and not give in to those heavy energies and those darknesses and create vicious cycles that we participate in, but do it with diplomacy and self-defense and not aggression and violence. And also some of those inner demons, guys, they need to be addressed with full force, complete bias, and we need to put those motherfuckers down, because it's a part of you that's going to be, it can't live in you anymore. So you need to kill it. And there's no way around that. And you're not going to kill it with a sword. You're going to kill it with reason, and you're going to kill it with focus, and you're going to kill it with actions, and you're going to kill it by being a good person. And guys, if I'm being honest, for most of my life, I felt like a bad motherfucker, a real bad motherfucker doing good things. And Jordan Peterson said that one time. He's like, I think the right aim is that you're a bad person and you're doing good things. Because if you claim to be a good person, you do all this virtue signaling, it just gets all lost in the sauce. And I thought it was funny how he said that, because, guys, a lot of my life, I have not felt like a good person. Not at all. But I do good things. I do good things. And I think that as men, that's important to think about, because we are capable of doing very destructive and terrible things. And that's why we need to focus that. We need to focus that with competence and focus our danger. And we know how to use a sword, but we keep it sheathed. And we don't take it out unless we absolutely have to in self-defense. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I love it. And dude, I love what you're saying about being a bad person who does good things. I think it's important for your men to remember too, because sometimes, again, back to the fusion thing, we tend to fuse ourselves with the thoughts that are in our heads. And that typically is because we don't realize that our thoughts are automatic reactions that our brain has to our environment based on the conditioning that we have from our life. And what happens is when we think that all these negative thoughts are destructive, like, I want to fucking do all this bad stuff, it's us, and it really isn't. And I really do believe that who you are is what you do, at least in this reality, at least in this realm. Who you are is what you do, like especially when you do it regardless of whatever thoughts you're having. And to me, that's a good person. And I haven't met a single good person who doesn't have some negative thoughts. The statistics are clear, or like half of our thoughts are negative for most people automatically. It's just because that's how our brain keeps us safe. It's supposed to be looking for shit that's going wrong. So it's a survival thing. It's not like, oh, my brain's trying to fuck me over. No, your brain's trying to keep you alive. So it's looking for issues around you. So so that you can be on the lookout. And what I love about what you're saying too is that you can be a bad person and do good, or feel or think that you're a bad person and do good things. And what happens is when you do that is that you start building evidence. You start doing all these good things, and I was like, and then you start looking back and you're like, I'm pretty fucking good. Like, yeah, like my ratio is fucking like it's pretty heavy on the good side. So statistically now, like I'm not even talking from emotion, I'm a good person. So and it's really hard to beat that feeling of evidence of you knowing who you are based on what you've done and the evidence you've been able to stack throughout your life. Um, I see Sean with a hand up. Sean, what's up, bro? We could.
We cooking kings. It's worth mentioning too that positive and negative don't always have anything to do with any emotions or thoughts or anything. What does a battery have? It has two terminals, a negative and a positive, and without one, the other one can't work. So it's like even in our body, there's polarity. The left side of our body is negative, it takes in, and the right side is positive, it puts out. So it's like we as humans tend to think like negative and positive has only anything to do with our emotions and what we're doing, but it doesn't. It has a broader context, and even as a battery is a great choice. You cannot have one without the other. The battery will not work without terminals.
Same with the magnets. It wouldn't work. It
Yep.
wouldn't work.
Yep.
Guys, look at the yin yang, like within the so that's an important distinction. Just because something's negative, it doesn't mean it's bad. And just because something's positive doesn't mean it's good. Those are two very separate words. And thank you for that distinction. And it goes back to natural law. There's a positive and a negative polarity. But if you look at the yin yang, like that's the reason why it's set up in the way it is, because within the positive or the light, there is like a black dot. And then in the opposite, there's a white dot. So like, and that's so eloquently put, because to your point, like, and this is going to be a pretty monumental thing that I say, this is going to make a little few your heads spin. I don't believe, and I know that humans are not inherently good or bad. And to your point, Carlos, to your point, ultimately, it's the manifestation based on our actions. So based on the consequence or the output of our actions, that's what's good or bad, not people. We can't say, oh, they're inherently. There's some examples, extreme examples, right? You can say that Hitler maybe was born negative, but also it's like he was programmed in a way and it was a perfect timing, and maybe there's something genetic. I acknowledge that, but I really truly know and believe, I don't think people are born naturally good or bad. I think they're programmable, and that's why we got to really program and educate ourselves. And that's what this is all about for you young kings. It's about getting the education in so you think and feel about things and ultimately do actions that you know best are going to be best for you and yours. And that's that.
100%, bro. 100%. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. But okay, let's land the plane. Let's land the plane. We're getting to the hour mark. So let's land the plane, and I want to bring it back to how we started the call with expressing our emotions, because I actually didn't share how I like to express my emotions. Well, you guys shared some of the ways that I do too. I know Sean mentioned speaking with someone you trust, right? And Alice mentioned, meditating and sitting with yourself and reflecting with your own thoughts. That's another great way to express your emotions. I can tell you, I got two favorite ways to express my emotions. One, is movement, and that's my art. Like I have a lot of artist friends who are photographers, painters, and all that stuff, and we speak about how we all have different ways to express ourselves creatively. And art, it's a great way to express your emotions. And for me, movement is my art. Whether I'm doing martial arts or where I'm doing calisthenics, there's an art to those disciplines. And there's and in order for me to be, excel in those, it's important for me to actually tap into those emotions and those feelings within me and redirect them into something more productive, like actually doing movement. And to me, that's one of the best ways to really express yourself, especially if you don't have the words yet. You can start with your body and work around that. And another thing that everybody has access to now too, and another reason why I'm so heavy on advising people and business owners and even young people as well to be on social media actively, is because it gives you that opportunity to express yourself artistically. Like I'm very intentional with my social media. If you guys follow me on It's Carlos Dr on Instagram, you guys can see that a lot of the posts that I make are very intentional and speaking specifically to an audience. But in there, you also find me expressing myself creatively. Like I love to edit videos of me doing movement and adding music behind them, making them pretty. Like it makes me happy, and they don't perform well sometimes. But I understand that it's my social media, and they don't have to perform well for anyone else. I'm making that content for me, and that allows me to express myself um, out there in the world and show people like what's inside here, like what am I really thinking, and it's been really helpful for me to just use that avenue, which we'll all have access to, and it's fucking free right now. I say right now because we don't know if social media is gonna be free forever, but right now it's free, and by me just being able to tap into that, not only am I able to express myself, but also I give the opportunity to other people to look within me and get to know me a little bit better, and that can help somebody actually get out of a hole that they might be in. That can help inspire someone who might be down, and it really is something that I enjoy. Like I remember when I first started making social media, one of the challenges that I gave myself was to cut down the amount of time that I was dedicated to making content, because I really enjoy it. Like I really like creating content, especially when it's educational or inspirational. I love that shit. But I was spending way too much time creating content, and that is not where I wanted my time to go. So I started challenging myself. Okay, let's bring this time down. Like if it's taking you an hour to edit this video, let's bring it down to 15 minutes. Okay, now let's bring it down to 5 minutes. Can you edit it in a minute? And like really bringing that down. And for me, because I enjoy it and because it allows me to express myself, that's a reward for me. Like whenever I'm creating content, especially the artistic content, that's like more about me moving my body and doing cool shit with my body in different and cool places. That to me is my way to express myself, and to me that's a reward. So I now I'm in a position where I shifted it. Now I reward myself by doing this. Like now I work first, and then okay, now you can go and go and create some content and set a timer because you can be on here for an hour. Yeah, so that's the two main ways that I feel like, because I really want to give the Kings listening to this a few different things. So you have talking to someone you trust. You have sitting with yourself and meditating and reflecting objectively what's going on. Movement, it's another way, and then also especially yourself through art and social media or any other artistic um, modality that will actually allow you to express yourself. Because when we do that, then like it's already outside of you. Like it's already outside of you. Then you can let it go and you can continue with your life. But when you hold on to it, it fucking eats you alive. And Wayne Dwyer always said, "Do not die with your music still in you." And when I remember when I first heard that, I was like, "Holy shit! I have so much music inside me, and I'm just letting it. What if I die next week? I just die with all of it." And that's what really drove me to write a Relax and Awake, which you can get on Amazon right now. Because that's what really inspired me to actually get it published. Because I was like, I have all this music, I have the entire book already planned out in my head. why the fuck am I not expressing it? It's because I was living with my music inside, still inside me. And once I made the decision that I refuse to die with my music still inside me, I started really expressing all of this that's already inside me. I'm not looking for inspiration here, there, although sometimes that's helpful. I already have all the stuff in me, and I'm just giving myself permission to express it. So if you're watching this, I want you to do the same thing. Give yourself permission to express your feelings in however way works best for you. Like we just gave you 4 different ways to do that, and what different people have different preferences. So choose one that works for you, but just make sure that you express it and you get that music outside of you, and you'll see how much lighter you feel. You'll also see how much happier you'll be as well. So I just wanted to share that because it's really important. I see a lot of people get stuck there, and it backfires every fucking time.
And that's why they say we have a universe inside of us. We have a song to sing. It's universe, one verse. We have a verse to sing.
Yes, the world needs your story, 100%, 100%, 100%. Well, Kings, I think we can land it here. We're officially at an hour mark. I appreciate you guys for being on here and sharing these gems. I'm very excited to see who this video touches as well outside of us, because I think there's a lot of men who are struggling with this, and this can be very helpful for a lot of people. So I am grateful for you guys on the call, and I'm grateful for everyone that's watching. And if you guys have any questions about anything we brought up, or if you feel like you don't have a person you trust that you can speak to, you can reach out. I can confidently say you can reach out to any of us on this call right now, and we will be more than happy to support you however we can. So reach out. You can find us on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever the fuck you get you people, and make sure that you're having that space to express yourself, because men are dying at a freaking crazy rate, and we can do something about this, and this is what we shared on this call is some of the most powerful things most men can do. And just in this hour, please, like, make sure you pay attention to what we're saying, take notes, listen to this a couple of times, but tap in. The time to stop playing yourself is right now, and you have everything you need in the world to get to the next level. You already have everything you need. So tap in. I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys know we do this every week, so we'll see you Monday. I got the games out here. Shit, I'm not wearing a tent out today. You see how crazy that is?
Almost inexcusable.
Carlos, where are those guns at, baby?
Oh my God, bro, you're right.
Oh snap! He played us. He played us, man.
You think I'm not ready?
Dude, he totally played us, guys. We got the receipt for it too.
We always ready. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your night. See you guys soon.
Have a good night.
Peace out, Kings.